Bob?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's here tonight.
How is Bob today?
Bob was underwater yesterday. Did you look at the TV? What's with this
No.
water all over the place? I mean, Chet, our town, if you had some water, you get a little bit of flooding, of course, because we're right here by the ocean. So, no big deal, you know what I mean? Like maybe a few inches or something, you know, and everybody says, it's a pain. This was up to your knee yesterday. It was crazy. There were cars going around looking like boats. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. I mean, you know, I said, like, where is all this water coming from?
Well, it's coming from the sky, obviously.
Well,
but
yeah, but
there's got to be some kind of conspiracy theory about that, don't you think?
Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
I mean, California's getting no water.
Right.
And here's certain areas of the country just getting flooded out. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to get all the rats to go to the dry land or something? I don't know. It's
they were doing a backstroke going down Main Street. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, it was just too much. I mean, you know, really serious. I mean, like, I looked out the window. I was on the radio last night, and I looked out the window, and somebody said, "How does it look?" I said, "Well, I can't see the grass." You know, it was gone.
That's a lot of water in a short period of time. I think in some countries they call that a monsoon or something like that.
Yeah, but if they do, man, I'll tell you, they must have sent me what they didn't want.
No doubt.
For sure.
Well, in boring old Winnipeg, we had some rain on the weekend. Now it's sunny and plus 28 degrees Celsius, which is about high 70s, low 80s, something like that. So we're getting beautiful weather in Winnipeg. All the snow is gone. The igloos have melted, and the traffic lights are now working. So little Winnipeg is now waking up, and people are coming out of their burrows and a hibernating bear and scratching themselves in the back of the neck saying, "Where's my coffee?"
That's all right. You know, you have a favorite sport up there. It's hockey up in Canada, and it was funny because down here during that storm, the Coliseum went out, lost power during a hockey game. So I said to somebody who was down here, I said, "Don't worry about it. They don't win anyway." Man, no wonder I'm still here.
A good reason not to have to finish an embarrassing game of hacky.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, bad.
So lots of stuff going on in the energy world. First of all, we have a special guest tonight. We're going to bring her on in a minute. Her name is Donna Kasuska. I want to get the name right. I don't want to disrespect my guests. We're going to talk about safe cleaners and different types of problems that cleaning products can cause in your house. And I've got some things I want to throw in with that. That's why we brought her on, because I've had some issues with that with clients in the past. Bob, today's guest, Donna Kasuska. Donna is a founder and CEO of ChemConscious Incorporated, a company that is on a mission to create a healthier world by increasing chemical awareness. Donna provides consulting services to the chemical industry and also brings technical yet practical information to the public. Donna is dedicated to bridging the information gap between industry and the public. As a chemical engineer with over 30 years of experience, Donna has seen firsthand how water is treated, food is processed, and how many personal and household products are manufactured. Throughout the years, Donna has recognized that her experience could be useful, in some cases critical, to the non-technical members of communities who need to understand the concepts of emergency prevention, safe drinking water, toxicity, indoor air quality, and security. Donna continues to provide consulting services to her industrial clients, as she has extended her services to assist schools, small businesses, community organizations, and parents in their understanding of these issues. Donna now dedicates much of her time to speaking, writing, and publicly communicating an urgent message regarding the overuse of some chemicals. She speaks and writes personally about the hidden hazards of chemicals in our environment. She will show you how to recognize and avoid the harmful chemicals by making better choices without significantly changing your lifestyle. Information, articles, and ebooks can be found at her website, ChemConscious.com. Everybody, please welcome to A Quantum View, Donna Kasuska. Hello, Donna.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Good. Did I get your name right?
Well, no, but nobody does.
Whoops.
It's okay.
My favorite saying is I've been called worse by better.
Yes, and that's true.
So, Donna, why don't you start off by telling us a little bit the story of how you got started in this chemical industry and why you want to make it such an important issue for people to be educated about chemicals.
Well, certainly. Well, as you said, 300 years ago, or so it seems, I I graduated from college, and I was a chemical engineer. And I went out there ready to make my mark on the world. I thought the best thing ever was to just go in those big refineries and chemical plants and just do my thing. And I did that for years. And, I was a process engineer, and then I became a safety engineer. And, my job was mostly to protect workers in the plants from the chemicals that they were manufacturing. And we did a real good job of that. We have a lot of tools that we use in the industry that can keep workers safe from the very large exposures that they could have when they're in their jobs. But I didn't bring that home until, I had done this for maybe 15 years. And my son at the time, he was 4 years old. And I was rubbing sunscreen on his legs because he was going to daycare. And they make you put sunscreen on the children before you take them to the daycare center in the summer. And he was crying, and he said, "Mom, please stop putting it on my legs," because his knees were all skinned up, and so the sunscreen was burning his knees. And so I looked on the label, and I thought there's probably alcohol or something in there that would be burning him. And yes, there was alcohol in there, and that's probably what was burning him. But then I was like shocked because I saw all these other chemicals in there, and they were the same chemicals that I spend my life protecting workers from, things like propylene glycol and oxybenzone. And so I didn't know what to do. I had just rubbed this on my son's open knees, and I thought, well, why would it be any less harmful to him in this sunscreen than it is to the workers in the plants? So that kind of sent me on this little quest. I was reading every label I could get my hands on, and including labels of things that I didn't even use, just to kind of get a perspective on what the deal was here. And it may sound silly now because I look back and I say, duh, why didn't I know this before? But I was working in these plants, and we were making chemicals by the barrels. And why didn't it occur to me that it was going somewhere and probably to my home? And so at the end of my quest, I confirmed pretty much that there were at least 150 hazardous chemicals that we are exposed to within the first hour of the day when we wake up in the morning.
Wow.
That was staggering. And actually now, this is years later, my son is 20 now. So, I've done quite a bit more research, and I believe it's just getting worse. It's probably 300 to 500 chemicals, depending on what you do each morning. And that's just the beginning of your day. When you go through your entire day, there's just no way to even comprehend how many chemicals we're exposed to, and in different quantities and in different combinations, again, depending on our lifestyles and what we do.
You know what? And I can completely relate to that. Before I got into this healing gig, I spent about 30 years in the printing industry. So now we're talking about working with xylenes, toluenes, 1,1,1-trimethane, all these different benzenes, and all these different carcinogens, basically, volatile organic compounds that are in these chemicals. And you're working, a 12-hour shift in a confined area with these things, and you leave feeling like Mr. Happy. You're basically VOC stoned walking out of the workplace. I know what you're talking about, and I've been there and done that. I was on the health and safety committee. Getting on that health and safety committee, learning about these chemicals made me realize, what are we doing to our workers? What's going on there? It did become a little quest of mine to find more safer means of finding chemicals to use within the workplace, and which is a very hard thing to do, because when looking at removing ink off of printing press, you need something very powerful to scrub out and dissolve the ink. It can be difficult to do that type of thing. So what kind of changes have been made to certain chemicals to make them more safer?
Well, in the industry, I have seen some chemicals being changed. The one that most people would be most common with are refrigerants. There are certain refrigerants that used to be used in our air conditioning systems, like freons and stuff, that are now banned and are being phased out in favor of some better refrigerants that are better for the environment. And there are also a lot of home improvement type materials. You can buy paints now that are low VOC. But I caution people on that because I kind of call that greenwashing. In some cases, the products are being made and they are indeed safer for us. But in most cases, that movement, if you want to call it, is more geared towards protection of the environment. And although I do agree that protection of the environment is really important, I also have seen lots of chemicals that are okay for the environment and less harmful for the environment, but in some cases much more harmful for us. A good example of that would be bamboo flooring. Everybody's like, oh yeah, let's put bamboo flooring in our house instead of wood because we're not killing so many trees, and bamboo is sustainable. And so I ordered some bamboo flooring for my house, and I was going to put it in, and a little box came, and it was just a sample because I wanted to test colors and stuff. And when I opened that box, I almost fell over because the smell that came out of there was just a tremendous amount of glue. And what I realized is that bamboo stalks are skinny, and so when you harvest them, you have to take all these little skinny pieces of bamboo and glue them all together to make a piece of flooring. And the glue isn't very good for us, right?
Glue, yes.
So, that's just one example. Another example I have is there are certain biofuels out there that are being made now that are definitely better for the environment. They're low emissions, but some of those I have jobs where I have to go in and protect the workers who make those, and there are some pretty hazardous intermediate chemicals that are used to make fuels out of these biodegradable elements. So again, it's there's definitely progress being made. Things are getting better in this world, but at the same time, our home products are being approved with more and more and more hazardous chemicals instead of less.
And the thought is, why do we need all of these things? In the old days, when we put in a flooring in your house, we took some trees to a mill and had floorboards cut and nailed them to the house, and that was our flooring, and it was 100% organic and no problem. But in this day and age, everybody wants the newest trends. We want the prettiest looking floor. We want all of this convenient stuff and all of this vanity stuff. And in order for them to make all of that, it becomes a chemical process, basically for everything and anything. What the chemicals do to our bodies, it starts at letter A and goes to letter Z and comes back around again. There's certain chemicals in our water. Fluoride, for instance, will leach calcium out of your bones. Fluoride will make you low thinking and docile. It'll cause your bones to get soft and bend. It just goes on and on and on what these things do. And a lot of the chemicals are carcinogenic, at very low levels. But if you're using them on a daily basis, it can create that scenario of cancer and other issues within your health. If you are somebody who does a lot of painting, now the word VOC means volatile organic compound, and that is a smell that you smell when you open a can of something. If it smells really strong, there's lots of VOCs within there. So ultimately, the least smelly things are probably going to be the best things for you, correct?
Oh, that's absolutely correct. In fact, the one thing that I have the biggest problem with in our products and in our foods is fragrance. And cleaning products and especially personal care products, when it says fragrance on there, at least in the United States, there is no definition, and in Canada too, because I was just speaking in Canada last month, and I did a little research on the regulations there as well, and it's very similar. There's no specific definition for a fragrance. So basically, if you want to list the word fragrance or perfume on the label, you can pretty much put an undisclosed undisclosed grouping of chemicals that you call proprietary, and you can put it on there without really disclosing what it is. But like you said, if it smells a lot, it is a VOC. And so most of those perfumes and fragrances out there, and I'm not even talking about, going to the ladies' perfume counter in the department store. I'm talking about our shampoos and our just things that really don't even need to smell nice. Our laundry detergents and our soaps and everything that we use, they all have perfume of some type. And just today, actually, Dr. Mercola, I don't know if you're familiar with Mercola.com, but yeah, everybody is, I guess. And I love what he puts on there. And just today, he had an article about the hazards of mixing various chemicals. So like we have one chemical in our shampoo and another one in our soap, and then we come down and we have some kind of processed food that has a chemical in it. And we're all mixing them together, and that has been my concern for years, is that they're never tested that way. They are only tested in single serving quantities. And if you mix them together or have more than a single serving, there's no data on what that does to us. So, that makes it even worse when we talk about perfumes and the fact that they can just mix pretty much anything and put it in there.
If you smell a lacquer thinner or what we call a solvent or a rubber rejuvenator in the print industry, it smells really nice. It's strong, but it does have a pleasant smell. You got to think, what are they putting in these products to create a fragrance? If you took that product and put it on your hand and it evaporated quickly, well, you can rest assured it is some kind of solvent, kind of petroleum-based solvent. What these petroleum-based solvents do is they pull all the fat out of your body, and it's called defattying, and that in itself causes another problem, causes toxins to get into the cells of your body and then get into your bloodstream, and then look out, Jack, you've got some kind of issue happening. As far as household products, I have with some clients in the past who knew that their husbands were trying to poison them with household products, and people knew that if they use this pesticide in certain amounts, there's no way they can detect it. Okay, now we don't want to go out and tell you what the pesticide is, because I don't want somebody calling me and saying I'm trying to poison my husband. Okay, what can you tell us about household pesticides?
Well, my first reaction to that, and it's very sad that I thought this, but even if people's husbands aren't trying to poison them, it doesn't matter, because the government's trying to poison us, and the chemical companies are poisoning us, and we're poisoning ourselves by demanding certain chemicals and things in our products. Now, pesticides, they're a special class for a couple of reasons. Anything that ends in the word "side," like suicide, herbicide, pesticide, is designed to kill living things, right? And so a pesticide will kill insects and rodents, and some of them are targeted to kill various things. But you have to think that just because we're bigger than the insects, isn't that stuff harming us also, right? The other thing that that really worries me is the fact that you can't read a label and determine if something has a pesticide or an herbicide in it. Okay, because number one, like cleaning products really aren't required to be labeled. But the other thing is that our food, let's say you buy a can of peaches, for example. Well, you're going to look on the ingredients, and it's probably going to have sugar being the first thing on there, and it's probably going to have water, and it's going to have peaches, and it might have like high fructose corn syrup or something. But it's not going to say that there's pesticides in there. But we know there are. Because
they were growing the fruit, and there's pesticides put on the fruit.
Right. But
Yes.
That's not required to be on the label. There's a big fight now to get GMO products labeled, and we won't get into GMOs because we could talk for hours on that. But but that's the first step in the right direction as far as labeling. But fortunately, there are some resources. First of all, we know that if we buy organic, even though it's not a guarantee that you're not getting any pesticides, It definitely reduces the risk that you will get some because, yes, some organic foods can be cross-contaminated because they're grown in fields next to other conventional products, or maybe, in the distribution centers they got mixed up and maybe, they were labeled improperly or whatever. So there's possibilities that, if you're buying all organic food, you're still getting some pesticides. But in reality, it's going to be a very small percentage compared to if you eat foods all the time that are conventional. But the other thing that's a really good resource is it's called the Environmental Working Group. And that would be at ewg.org, okay, for Environmental Working Group. And they have what's called the Dirty Dozen list and the Clean 15 list. And that list is really important because the Dirty Dozen list is the list of produce items that are the least likely to be contaminated with pesticides. And then, or the Dirty Dozen list is the ones that are most likely. And the Clean 15 list, of course, is the opposite, the ones that you can eat. And what that does for you is, number one, the organic produce is a whole lot more expensive. It's getting better, but it's still more expensive most of the time than conventional. And so you could buy the Clean 15 items like avocados. You don't have to buy those in organic because avocados don't get a lot of pesticides put on them. And if they do, the thick skin that they have can protect you or protect the avocado meat inside. But apples, strawberries, spinach, those are all on the Dirty Dozen list. So you want to buy those organic all the time. So that's a resource. But the other problem with pesticides, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, but if I had to pick the one food that had the most pesticides in it that I stay away from at all costs, it's butter.
Butter.
Okay, butter and animal products. So when I'm traveling, for example, and I can't always get organic food, I'm not 100% vegan. I try to be vegan a lot, but I'm not 100% vegan. But I only eat meat when I'm home and I know where it came from because the animals are more contaminated with the pesticides than the produce because they're eating the grains that are grown with tons of pesticides on them, and I don't think people actually wash the food that they feed to the animals. So the animals are getting large quantities of pesticides and herbicides and GMO products, and then they are ingesting that. And when you think about it, what do our bodies do with toxins? Our bodies really don't know what to do with toxins because they are not made to process toxins, and so they store the toxins in the fat tissues. So
which is cellulite fat. That's what cellulite.
That's
fat.
what cellulite is, right? So it is just we kind of encapsulate these toxins in these globs of fat, for a better way of putting it, and so that happens in animal bodies also. And then when we eat the meat, or drink the milk or eat the butter, which is really concentrated, okay, we're eating the animal fat, and that is where all the toxins are. So if you're going to eat meat, the best thing to do, of course, is get some grass-fed organic meat or go to a farm where the animals are fed, pesticide-free grass and not the processed grains that are in the large animal feeding facilities.
So here's my wife and I thinking we're doing the right thing by eating butter and not margarine.
Well, that is the right thing.
Yeah, it's really a catch-22 almost, because now, of course, when you're working with energy, there's things that I can do to the food to remove all of that stuff out of it, which I do. And,
awesome.
And I can tell a difference, definitely in the taste of some of the things. Margarine is a molecule away from plastic. It's all corn. It's all kinds of chemicals in there. It's GMOs. So butter, you've got the pesticides that were in the grain. You've got the hormones. You've got the antibiotics that were given to the cow. The better thing is still the butter, but the butter could be better.
Yes. And you can or the butter can be better, and it can be organic. Or it could be, I'm fortunate. I live in Pennsylvania. I can walk to the nearest organic farm. So I can go meet the cows that are milked to provide the butter that we buy. And I realize that not everybody is that fortunate, but you can. There are organic butters on the market that you can buy, that would be healthy for you.
Okay, now we talked about some foods with, about pesticides and that type of thing. Now, here's something that I know my wife has researched because, of course, she loves to look in the mirror and she loves to look beautiful for her husband, and that is beauty products. Now, I've done the research a bit myself. I've learned that there are some that, yes, are very bad for you. That lipstick that you put on your lips and lasts for 24 hours, there's a reason for that now, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And that goes back to something you mentioned a few minutes ago, which I really do want to highlight, and that is, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where there are, as Mercola said this morning, he said there are over 10,000 additives that are approved to be put in your food. And there are over 80,000 chemicals that have been created since 1980 and approved for use in products. So how did we get here? And you got it exactly right. It's we want our hair to be shiny. We want we want blue raspberry flavored soda pop. Okay. We want, I don't know about you, but I've never seen a blue raspberry growing that's that color. We want our floors to be no wax. We want, low maintenance. We want long shelf life. So why do we do that? We want things to be decaffeinated. So these things are not naturally without caffeine, and our hair may not always be naturally shiny. And so we try to do that with products. And so, back in the 1950s, back in the Betty Crocker days, where, housewives were starting to say, well, hey, I have more, there's more to life than just being a housewife. So I want these convenience products. And there's nothing wrong with that. We demanded it and we asked for it, and the chemical companies responded, because that's what chemical companies do, and manufacturing companies. They say, okay, what does the public want and how can we provide that? Right? So now what I'm seeing is, we forgot to ask. We want our hair shiny and we want to do it without getting cancer because of what we're using, right? So now people are starting to realize that, and we're getting demands on the chemical companies. We've got, so many advocates out there for healthy eating and healthy products. And we're seeing companies crop up now that make products that have no hormone disruptors and products that have no hazardous chemicals. And the companies are seeing that, and they're doing just what they've always done. They're listening, and they're starting to create products that meet the needs that we have today. And that's the answer to how we change those things, is we have to just make it known that we don't want these cancer-causing chemicals. I mean, there's a place for everything. I'm not saying that chemical companies are bad. And, we still want to drive our cars. We still want to build our houses. But there are safe ways to do that. There's a safe way to do anything. And, like you said, when you're trying to clean the printing presses, it's not easy, but it can be done safely.
Try and clean that ink off with just water, it ain't going to work.
But there are things you can do, and there's ways to protect yourself in order to do that job safely. And I believe that any of the products that we use can be made safely. So back to your original question, which is, what's a woman to do? Okay, what do we do? We want to smell nice and we want to look pretty. I say that there are some things that I just definitely don't use. Okay. Nail polish is a very good example. In fact, I was in a Whole Foods a couple of months ago, and I did see what supposedly was being sold as healthy nail polish, and I didn't actually read the label, but I have every intention of going back and checking that out. Because I have found things like makeup that, mascara and blush and, eyeshadow that, mineral makeup, for example. There are some brands out there that I wouldn't touch, but there are some brands that I do use. There are products for your hair that can be purchased that don't have fragrance, that don't have, the SLS or the sodium lauryl sulfate, or the the hormone disrupting chemicals that we find. You just have to be diligent. You have to be smart and learn how to read a label, and what are the names of some of the things that are really hazardous. So what I tell people, because, I always say that, I live in a normal house. I lead what most people would consider a normal lifestyle, except some people who watch what I eat, and they may have a different opinion. But for the most part, I do pretty much the same things everybody else does, but I do it in a chemical-free way. And the answer to that is to just, take a look at the things you do every day. All right. And evaluate those and try to find substitutes for those things, and then don't worry about, the one time a year that maybe you drive past a chemical plant, or the one time a year that you go visit your mother-in-law and you don't want to turn her down for the special dish that she makes that isn't good for you. Because it's not the things we do once a year. It's the things we do every day, or maybe more than once a day, that are adding up and contributing to the disease and the problems and issues that we have.
What things are people doing on a daily basis that we might not realize are detrimental to us?
Well, okay, so I use a friend of mine as an example. She has a business and she cleans houses, right? And so she lives in a house where there's public water. So she gets exposed to chlorine in her water, right, in her drinking water and when she showers. And she also cleans houses for a living, so she's using chlorinated cleaning products all day long, sticking her hands in water that's full of chlorine and chlorinated products. And then what do you think is her favorite pastime or sport? She likes to swim.
Okay.
So here's a person that has massive chlorine exposure, okay? Whereas in my case, I have a private well. I won't live anywhere that I don't have control over my drinking water supply, right? And so I don't get exposed when I have when I'm drinking my water or in the shower. I don't allow any chlorinated cleaning products in my house. And although there is a pool in my backyard, I haven't swam in it in about 5 years. So my chlorine exposure is zero. So in other words, I don't have to worry about that. Okay, but I was giving a speech one time, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. And my husband, he comes and listens to my speeches all the time. And at this one particular speech where I said this a million times, but this particular time he was thinking about it. And after I got done, he said, "What about chewing gum? Like, I do that every day. What's in, shouldn't we look at that?" And so I said, "Yeah, we should. I didn't think of that either. But yeah, you do chew gum every day." So we took a look at the ingredients, and then we went to the supermarket, we went to the health food stores, and to be perfectly honest with you, we have not yet found a chewing gum that I find acceptable.
What's the bad thing in chewing gum?
There's all kinds of things, but most of it is GMO-related products, like various gums and resins and things that are petroleum-based in some cases, or if not petroleum-based, then they're like corn-based, which would be GMO unless it specifically says it's not. And so, yeah, we couldn't find anything. If I had, what we did is we resorted to, he uses peppermints now that are flavored with peppermint oil, essential oils, which I find totally acceptable.
Interesting. Chewing gum. Who would have thought
that? Who would have thought? So some other things like coffee. Some people drink coffee all day long, right? Coffee's a wonderful thing. It tastes good. It can be completely natural, but it depends on what you do to it or how you make it. So if I wanted to make a really healthy cup of coffee, because there are a lot of studies that say that coffee is full of antioxidants and it's good for you, right? So what I would do is I would start with an organic coffee bean. I would grind it at home. All right. I would make sure it was stored properly so it didn't have mold on it, because that's a big deal. Your coffee can be as pure and as organic as possible, but if it's not dried properly and it's stored improperly, it will grow mold, and mold can be as toxic as any of the chemicals that we're talking about. So So make sure it's stored properly. You grind it yourself. You don't brew it in a brewer that has plastic parts, or at least not plastic parts that get hot and touch your coffee, because now you're leaching all kinds of chemicals out of your plastic. You don't filter it with bleached coffee filters. You get unbleached coffee filters, or you get those gold coffee filters that are, you don't need a filter for it, a paper filter. So then when you brew your perfect cup of coffee, then you look at what you put in it. We don't put, powdered creamers or even artificial creamers in them, because they are full of just about everything, artificial creamers. We shouldn't put milk in there unless it is organic. And in my opinion, I don't even think pasteurized milk is all that good for us, but, definitely not, unless it's organic, because the cows, like I said, like we talked about before with the pesticides and the fat, so we don't put sugars in it. We definitely don't put artificial sweeteners in there, because you asked me about rat poison and pesticides, and there are some artificial sweeteners out there that really, literally, the molecule is a pesticide. It's very similar,
yes,
and will act the same way on our bodies. So if we make sure we're not doing any of that, we're brewing organic coffee, we're not touching any plastic, we're using glass or stainless steel, we're putting, healthy sweeteners in there, we're putting, almond milk or coconut milk that we know is from a good source, then sit down and enjoy your coffee, right?
Well, what I like to use in my coffee is maple syrup.
Oh, yes.
Maple syrup gives it a nice flavor. You need just a little bit of it. It's 100% organic. It comes straight from Mr. Maple Tree, and it's filtered, and that is basically it. It does add a nice flavor. You got to be careful how much you put. Too much in there, you're going to taste it's going to be too powerful. Now, another thing that everybody does every day, or at least I hope so, is brush their teeth.
Yes. And go into a regular supermarket and pick up any tube of typical toothpaste, and it will have a warning on there that says, "Do not swallow."
Yes. Put it in your mouth, but don't swallow it. Right.
Exactly. So yes, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Toothpaste is actually one of the easiest things to make your own, actually. Coconut oil, and flavor it with a little bit of peppermint oil, like real peppermint essential oil, not the fake stuff, and you can put some baking soda in there, and of course, source that properly as well. But those three things you can make an excellent toothpaste, or with clay. A lot of people are making toothpastes with clay, and that works excellent. What I found is using diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth. Is awesome for toothpaste.
Yeah, the molecule diamond almost, and that stuff will scrub. It'll do a good job.
It will, and if you travel, some people, you're traveling and you're getting on airplanes all the time, because that's me. I do it all the time, and going through security, they kind of frown on things like unlabeled jars of goop that I claim to be toothpaste. So there are brands that you can buy, and probably the most important thing you already brought up was just get a fluoride-free toothpaste, because fluoride is even though I personally have a biological dentist who says that there is a place for fluoride, and that he still insists that it does help in some cases where people have serious cavity problems. But for the most of us, we don't need that enormous amount of fluoride, and so definitely get a toothpaste that doesn't have fluoride and doesn't have a lot of those hormone disrupting chemicals like sodium lauryl sulfate and stuff like that.
Yeah, fluoride is in the water and in the toothpaste for one reason only, and that's to keep us docile, to have mind control over humanity. That's all it's for. There's a lot of cities, a lot of countries that are now taking fluoride out of their water, and I'm on a board actually that is trying to get the city to realize that fluoride is not a good thing. It's waste byproduct from creating fertilizer. There's no reason why it could be good for you, and it'll actually do a reverse job on your teeth than it will as protecting them. I've got a 3.5-year-old son and a 16-month-old daughter. What is under my sink that is going to do the most harm to them?
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't seen under your sink, but if yours looks anything like
Whoa.
if yours looks anything like most of the sinks that I've seen, there's a ton of things under there that's bad for them, and even some of the things that we find healthy are still should be kept out of the reach of children, as we say. So as far as under your sink, most people have cleaning products. And the big thing I got to say about cleaning products is we have no idea what's in them or what they will do to us, because they're not required to be labeled in most countries. So, you buy a cleaning product, and the only way you can tell that it has something bad for you in there, unless say I like to go on the U.S. patent website and look up how they make these things, but that's my geeky way of doing it. But most people, the best way to figure that out is to look for the warnings, okay? Because even though they're not required to disclose their ingredients, they are required to put certain warnings on the label. And what I find really interesting now is that we're getting a whole bunch of green cleaners coming out on the market, and they're saying, oh, well, we are voluntarily disclosing our ingredients. So, even though we don't have to, because we want you to know that we don't have anything bad in there, right? But then, so you look at their ingredients and it doesn't say anything harmful, and you're perfectly okay with what's in there. But then there's still that warning on the bottle, that says harmful if swallowed, or flammable, or, corrosive, okay? And if it has that warning and the ingredients listed on there don't have anything that I would say would warrant that warning, then that tells me that they're not listing all the ingredients.
Exactly.
Because they don't have to. So
because it's not food, you don't ingest it, so that you don't have to list it all. And in some cases, it's a trade secret, and there's a law that protects that. Yes.
Yes. So you got to be really careful with cleaning products, and I don't trust them even if they are labeled. So I do like to make my own cleaning products, and I can give you a totally easy recipe. This is awesome. So every morning I like to have lemon water. And I like to have it hot, but you can do it cold too. But I take a lemon and I cut it in half and I squeeze both sides and I drink the juice with water, right? So then, of course, since I do this every day, I have a lot of lemon peels, right, that are left over. And so you take a canning jar, like any glass jar with a tight lid, and you fill it halfway with any kind of a vinegar, okay? And then every day, just put these lemon peels in the vinegar water. And then when the jar gets full, it looks pretty sitting on your counter. It's just a jar of lemons, and it's yellow, and it looks nice and sunny. And what that's doing is it's extracting the lemon oil from the lemon peels, which actually lemon oil is one of the most powerful cleaners and cleansers that you can find. And so then after about, 3 weeks, a month, or whatever, I pour that liquid into a squeeze bottle, and I use that to clean my countertops and clean the bathroom. And it's this lemon. It smells more like lemons when it gets finished than it does vinegar. And it works awesome. It even takes up pet odors, and it's like the easiest, most inexpensive cleaner that I can think of to use.
And then you can make yourself an awesome martini.
Yes, and something else we do too. I'm really into essential oils. I didn't used to be, but once I gave up all fragrances, and then I went several years fragrance free. Then I found essential oils, and I got excited about them because I like things that smell nice, and those are safe to inhale. But what I didn't realize was that they have lots of healing properties and detox properties as well. And one of my favorites is that citrus oils will dissolve petrochemicals on contact. So let's say you get a bottle of lemon essential oil, and you get a regular balloon, right? A balloon that you just blow it up, and a balloon is made mostly of petroleum products. and you take 1 drop of lemon oil, and I do this in my speeches all the time because it has great impact. You take 1 drop of lemon oil and you put it on the balloon, and it will pop the balloon within a few seconds because it eats through these petrochemicals. And so what I'm finding a lot of research on now is what's called a petrochemical detox with citrus oils. And women are having tremendous results rubbing citrus oils on their cellulite areas, because you don't even have to take it internally. You just rub it on your skin, and the essential oils will penetrate those layers of fat and dissolve those petrochemicals that are trapped in there, which is awesome.
Now, that leads me to the next question. Do you know of any good ways that normal you and I, or people listening, can use to detox themselves, different ways to do this? Because we all know that we're getting this stuff in our body. Is there any simple, easy ways that we can detox?
Well, yeah, there are. I actually did my detox a little bit too fast, because I kind of came upon the realization of chemicals, and then I just eliminated them all from my life, which was a real shock to my body. And some of us have open detox pathways. It has to do with your genes and stuff, and you gotta talk to the medical professionals that understand that stuff. But I know that, like, some of us have blocked detox pathways and others have open ones. So if you have open detox pathways and you just eliminate the chemicals, your body will take over and will start to detox. And some people can actually do a good job of detoxifying by just removing the source. Okay. But then there are those of us who can't do that, can't easily eliminate toxins. Maybe their livers are backed up. Maybe they have different gene pathways that are blocked. And so for those of us that have that, it's a little harder because what happens when you remove the source and you start to do anything that will detox or loosen up some of these toxins, they end up circulating around in your body, and they can cause secondary reactions that are actually worse than what you would experience when it went in, because you're releasing toxins in large quantities and very rapidly.
One of the biggest things that I see within people who are looking for my help is that they tell me, "Oh, I've done all of these detoxes like crazy." And I'm like, "Whoa, stop right there." Detoxing can be worse than the actual problem itself, because yes, you are releasing all of these chemicals back into your body, and quite often the fat cell is also going to store a hormone that's in excess, and all of a sudden you got hormones that are raging within your body along with it. Now you've got a cocktail that's going to drive you off a cliff.
That's exactly right. So when I say, so yes, there are easy things you can do. You can, eat more green vegetables, because that's very detoxifying. You can drink certain teas, like dandelion tea is very detoxifying. Tulsi tea, which is actually holy basil. These things are all, certain herbs. There's lots of things. Like I drink essential oils in my water. I put drops of peppermint and lemon oil in my water bottle all day. By the way, do that in glass bottles, because it will eat through a plastic bottle, because that's what it does. But I never recommend going all out on a detox to anybody. I always say to find like a functional medicine or some type of a health coach or healer that has experience with detox, because, some of us, if you've had surgeries or you've had, other types of there's drug exposure, there's food exposure, there's water, there's air exposure, there's job exposures. If you've had a lot of those, it's not something you want to do overnight. You want to have some expert guidance, and you want to detox slowly.
Yeah, one of the ways I find best within what I do is a Footbath Detox. Okay, you put your feet in a bucket of water with the mechanism, and it pulls toxins out of the cells of your body. And it does it at a relatively good pace, and sometimes it takes 10 or 20 of these to really do the job right. So, there are good ways. Certain minerals that you put within your system may help to detox, to bind to specific chemicals within your body. Diatomaceous earth, liquid clays are going to bind. Yeah, clay is very good for getting out viruses and bacterias and to just flush your system. And as you said, what's called a master cleanse is lemon water, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper.
Yes,
Okay.
and I've used that a lot. I tell you, I drink lemon water every morning, and I didn't get into the details, but yeah, I do that. I drink that every morning, and even though that's not the way it's intended for people to go several days doing that type of a cleanse. I still think that drinking lemon water with some cayenne is still a very good way to get things moving and keep your body effectively detoxing itself.
Absolutely. You know what? We could go on about this.
We could.
I mean, this is definitely a big area of mine that I work within, is detoxing and working with people with chemical sensitivities. But we need to close off at 6 o'clock. I need to get on to my babies and make sure that there's nothing toxic under my sink.
Yes.
Our guest tonight has been Donna Kasuska. Thank you so much, Donna. It's been very informative. And I hope that people listening are taking something home and taking something to heart, knowing that things within our bodies and that we're eating are not good for us. Again, thank you, Donna. This is Chris from A Quantum View. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
And there you go. Now, everybody out there, Annette, by the way, the copies of this chat box then is going to Donna and Chris. I've never seen such a live chat box before in my life.